Brooks, really, I think peak weather impacts right now around our region. The storm has now reached our latitude, which is about 27.9 degrees north latitude. It's going to move north, and then our winds will start going south and southwest, and we'll start seeing some water, more water piling up. So as far as weather goes, rain and wind, we're just about at the peak intensity, with inland areas not getting much at all. Look at all the cameras, and boy, I tell you, one thing that sticks out is way in the corner, over in Orlando. Notice the difference. If you look at the top right of your TV set, that's I-Drive in Orlando. Visibility is good. No rain at all, just partly cloudy skies. Then you go from partly cloudy and not bad Orlando to all of this around Tampa Bay. It's not good. Brookdale Bayshore cam, that's the Bayshore right there, and you can't see a thing with very heavy rain. Boy, you talk about how things have really deteriorated. Look at the difference going back to like 3 o'clock at Clearwater Beach. I mean, remember now, this is the water, and look how high it is now. Next several hours, this is when the water levels will start coming up, and the storm surge becomes it's a big story already, but it becomes really the headline the next several hours. It is really rough, and there's really no one around. I mean, that's pretty wild stuff. And you're looking live on the Manatee River, and check out that scene. Winds have been gusting 60 to 70. USF Marine Science Cam, look at the splash over. Because of the winds that are blowing pretty much perpendicular to the pier. And then on the Serrata Beach Resort Cam, a continuation of some big surf. Multiple tornado warnings are in effect, and this is going to be the story for the next several hours. And there's a couple of them underway into sections of Hardy, DeSoto, Manatee, down by Port Charlotte. Any one of these individual cells can and will produce a quick spin-up tornado. Here's one indicator of one. Not a lot of population where this is going, but we'll watch it. That's Sarasota County up until 6 o'clock. Right here, you can see that couplet where it's green and red. That is rotation inside a thunderstorm. And remember, even if you're watching me along the coast, where it's raining now, there could be a quick spin-up tornado even before a warning is issued. That's how quickly they kind of ramp up around the outside of a hurricane. A lot of shear in the atmosphere, and there's another one. Another couplet northwest of Arcadia. This is really rural areas, but we'll continue to watch it, and Nash will have more radar views in a sec. The power outage numbers, Jim Weber just updated this, and they're going up almost nonstop. So we've got 36,000 Hillsborough, we've got 30,000 Manatee, 38,000 in Sarasota, 24,000 Pinellas, 22,000, these are customers, 22,000 Pasco, 3,000 Brooksville. But notice the dividing line. It's a continuation of the theme that we've talked about since day one. This will be a very sharp line between significant impacts and impacts not too bad at all. I mean, you'll know inland that a hurricane is west of you, but the serious impacts are once again mainly in our coastal counties, from Citrus County all the way down to Sarasota County. Wind gust, what do we have? 62 in St. Pete. So we have sustained tropical storm force winds in Pinellas, and sustained tropical storm winds earlier in Sarasota. Now gusts 50, 60 right along the coastline. Gusts 67 in Sarasota right now, with sustained winds of 43. And winds up in Tallahassee will pick up pretty soon. We'll zoom in. Here are your wind gusts around Tampa Bay. Still 40 and 41 inland, and that can cause some outages. And then along the coast, it's getting pretty severe for sure. The update as of 5 o'clock, you see that? 27.9. 27.9 is Tampa's latitude. Once a storm goes by our latitude, it does a couple things. It eliminates any chance of it turning because it's gone by you, and it'll continue on its way. We are not concerned at all about any sort of Charlie trip to the east. That was a big buzz this morning on social media, and there really was no reason for it except the storm wobbled a little bit. But it is locked in a channel that'll move it right up across the Big Bend. And this point here is forecasted to be a Cat 2, but I think when it reaches there, it's not going to still be a Cat 2. It's just the way that the map is plotted. Storm heads up to the Big Bend, and as far as Tallahassee goes, there's some hope that the core will stay a little east of the capital, but it's going to be really, really close. And Futurecast is more bands of rain right along our coastline with some moving inland. And again, the main impacts are going to be right along the coastline with less wind and less rain inland. Let's go over to Nash, more on Sky Tower.
Yeah, I've been continuing to check out Sky Tower, Paul, because most of those showers and storms starting to penetrate a little bit deeper into central Florida. Downtown Tampa seeing some of those heavier bands pushing through, as well as those 2 tornado warnings that expire at 6 p.m. that we were talking about just a moment ago. There's the eye off the shoreline, but I do want to get a closer look at several of our counties to at least be able to pinpoint your neighborhood, or if it's up here on the screen or where you live. Brooksville, Hernando Beach, Port Richey, Holiday, really from Citrus County down into downtown Tampa and areas just east of the city, seeing some of those impacts pushing through. Very strong winds and showers and storms that are very prolific and putting down a lot of rainfall in a short period of time. Thankfully, the heaviest of these have remained off the shoreline until this eye right now is as close as it's basically going to get to many of these spots here into Pinellas County. Farther south, Bradenton, Bayshore Gardens, Sarasota, Gulfgate Estates, some of the spots that are also under a tornado warning right now, north and east of Northport. Still seeing those dark reds there, indicating some more showers and storms with quite a bit of rotation rolling off the shore, as a tornado watch still remains in effect for our area until 8 p.m. tonight. Here's a closer look at the eye. I've been watching this carefully on Sky Tower radar. Look at all the strikes that are being picked up by our radar site here. We checked with this about an hour ago, and we had maybe 4 cloud to ground strikes. We now have almost 200, indicating that there's a lot of thunderstorm activity happening around the center of this system. And we typically see patterns just like this with rapidly intensifying storms or very strong major hurricanes that are holding their energy as they're moving farther to the north. I'll be watching that moving forward to see how that situation evolves if we continue to see that pattern. But for now, this is still about 100 miles to the west of us, and it's going to continue to lift to the north, likely maintaining its major hurricane status up into landfall. And as Paul mentioned, we have seen a few wiggles with this that have slightly potentially adjusted some of our impacts, but either way, no big swings with this as it continues to ride farther to the north. And visible satellite imagery showing as the sun is no longer going to be able to illuminate this system for us as we head into tonight, that eye becoming a little bit potentially more clear. A little sloppy, not completely cleared out, but that'll be something for us to continue to monitor here. A closer view zoomed in now. Hard to tell. Maybe you can see right through the center of that, clearing things out and clearing out several of those thunderstorms wrapped around the center. I want to show you the current wave heights here, and I'm going to step out so you really get an idea of this. 30-foot plus waves wrapped right around the center of this major hurricane, still Category 3 status right now, west of downtown by about 100 miles. As this lifts to the north, a lot of those higher waves are going to be pressed back toward the shoreline, where right now winds are just now starting to be angled more out of the south and west. And as that pattern continues with this lifting to the north, we're going to likely start to see some of those higher storm surge values roll through as we head into tonight, specifically later on tonight, even later than 8:30 p.m. as many spots saw their peak surge likely rolling through closer to 11 p.m. tonight. Here's the latest storm surge forecast. You're seeing numbers as high as 20 feet up in the Big Bend, 10 to 15 feet for Citrus County, 8 to 12 as we work farther down to other counties like Pasco and Hernando County and into Pinellas County. This is Safety Harbor, Indian Rocks Beach, and other locations here. 5 to 8 feet possible, and continuing down through Anna Maria, Longboat Key, Siesta Key with 4 to 7 feet, and that also making its way all the way down through Englewood Beach at 4 to 7 feet. We're going to be watching this surge carefully heading into the evening as the maximum of these wind impacts are currently being felt across a vast portion of central Florida.